I have wanted to score a Western for many, many years. I think it's because Westerns have got very, very big themes to them. At least the Westerns that I grew up with, the 1950s ones, John Wayne, that sort of thing. So the music that I love for Westerns comes from people like Elmer Bernstein, who did the Magnificent Seven, and initially, of course, from Aaron Copland and Appalachian Spring, Rodeo, those kind of tunes. So the mix of Americana, which I love anyway, and a big theme was much, much too good an opportunity to miss. I hadn't initially thought about Barbara Worth, but I'd seen it before. And I'd forgotten that actually the movie itself it's a kind of evocation of the spirit of the West. Barbara is the spirit of the West. And it's not kind of, cowboys and Native Americans. It is much more about trying to build something new and how that affects the lives of ordinary people, and how the characters that are involved kind of spark off each other around this massive new project to basically move the Colorado River. And it starts and ends with two of the most extraordinary pieces of special effects filming I've ever seen. So I was able to come up with themes that I loved and that I was pleased with, but I was also able to do gunfights, big building projects, sandstorms, floods, everything that a composer would love to score for is in this movie. And the other thing I love about it is that Henry King is a director who you completely believe in. It has an authenticity to it. Even though it's based on a novel, and I'm sure there are things about the film that are inauthentic for the time. But he makes you believe in his characters, and he makes you believe in their motivations with each other. And so there's no sense in which, oh, why are they doing that? It's all absolutely laid out for you. And it's also on the cusp of the new modern America. So we see cars in this otherwise Western wilderness. So all of that has meant that after coming here, I think this year may be my 35th year as piano player here. I might have missed a year somewhere, but I'm pretty sure my first one was around 89. I've scored for Pordenone before, and I've always loved the playing here, and I've loved events anyway. This one is really special. I think it may be the best thing I've done. And it's taken up the last 3.5 months of my life in a very, very enjoyable way. I've really loved the process of scoring this film. And that doesn't always happen. Usually when you're living with a film for months, you get to a point where you can't stand looking at this anymore. But not with this. With this one, it grips you and holds you, and all the way through I was just thinking, right, what's the very best I can do to make this work? And I'm hugely looking forward to Saturday, and I am utterly terrified by it as well, which is probably no bad thing. Probably the cumulative effect of having been coming here for so many years. The sense that all of us have that we are part of something very special. And without a doubt, that audience is still probably the toughest audience in the world to play for. This was one of the things I said at the inaugural Jonathan Dennis lecture, and it hasn't changed. What has changed, I think, is that I'm now 66, and I feel very valued here. Your words absolutely reflect that. I feel welcomed and that people value what I do. And I feel also, I think, that this is the place I'm most likely to do my best work for. There's going to be people out in that audience who will not have seen the film before and who will love it. There will be people who know it backwards. There'll be people who are looking at the image to see how it works and to get ideas about color or about the way that Henry King worked. There'll be people who are there for 100 other reasons that I don't know anything about. But what I do know is that if Saturday night works, which I deeply hope it will, then the ripples will go out all around the world. And I can't say that for any other place that I score for. This is, if I drop this stone in the water, it will just keep on rippling out for months and months and possibly years. So I couldn't ask for a better showcase for work I'm going to do. That's really what it comes down to. That 3.5 months of work will be justified by having it in front of a full house. In fact, 2 full houses. We're doing it twice. And in front of an audience of people that I massively respect, and very many of whom are personal friends. What more could you ask for? It's very different. I decided right at the beginning I wasn't going to have a piano in the score. I started by just thinking in my own head what I had loved about the westerns that I knew, the western scores that I knew from the 1950s, particularly. The theme that I used for it is one I've been using as a piano player here for years. I kind of developed it out of improvisation. And actually, when people hear it, they may recognize it because they may recognize that I've played it before. But what it did was give me a big theme to open the film with, which I think is part of what a Western does. It also gave me a theme for Barbara herself, which I could then develop. And although it's there through the rest of the film, we don't see it properly again almost until the very end. So it gave me something to run lots of different variations on. And I can make mention of that theme because it's fairly memorable. But it could be in a darker context. It could be because things are going wrong. It could be because she's falling in love. It's because she's doubting her love. And all those things are really, really useful. Beyond that, I just tried my best to give as much real danger to things like the sandstorm. And the sandstorm is beautifully done in the film. And then I handed over what I'd done, which was a pretty full score. There's something like 15 or 16 lines of music, to George Morton, who is an absolutely superb orchestrator. And he was sending me back messages, I'm having such a good time with this score. Oh, great. This is my Korngold bit. So, Korngold, fantastic. This is my Aaron Copland bit, fantastic. And he just got it. He understood what it needed. And so there's so much sparkle and joy in the score. And I try not to think about piano when I'm thinking in those ways, because I'm in my own head. I'm in Hollywood in about 1956. I'm Dmitri Tiomkin, or I'm Elmer Bernstein, or whatever. And I'm scoring for the film, and I'm going to be working with the Hollywood Orchestra. So no piano. I guess because in my head, if you hear a piano in the West, it's one of those jangly kind of ones in a bar. And, everything stops when the villain walks in. Whereas it's not like that. And also, this film doesn't feel archaic. It doesn't feel like something from the teens. It feels very, very modern. And I think that's Henry King. I think Henry King knew that the Western had a tremendous kind of life force about it, within which there were cliches, but those cliches had to have a reality for us to come on board with them. So it's not even like a William S. Hart Western. It is looking forward to the Westerns of Howard Hawks and John Ford, for my money anyway. Absolutely. So it was like working for those great, great directors. I'd count Henry King amongst them.